What's going on, guys? JSGC here, and we are here for another Manchester City video. Today we're going to be doing my 2022-2023 season review. Before I do crack on with this video though, make sure, like always, if you are enjoying the content, do subscribe. I am rolling out daily Manchester City transfer updates for you guys to enjoy, so if you want to stay up to date with all the latest transfer news this summer, make sure you have subscribed to my channel. Social media links, they're in the description below and sliding across at the bottom of the screen if you want to go and follow me on my Twitter and Instagram. Email also in the description too if you want to hit me up for any sponsorships for any videos or any general business inquiries. TikTok link also in the description if you want to go and follow me on there. Do leave a thumbs up, and most importantly, rate Manchester City's season out of 10. I have a feeling with Manchester City winning the treble whilst wearing the shirt dedicated to the King, Colin Bell, there is no better season, there is no better way to honour Colin Bell than doing the achievements of what Manchester City have achieved this season. So I imagine there will be, rightfully, lots of 10 out of 10s, maybe even some 11 out of 10s as well. So let's crack on with this video. Let's start off first. 11 months ago, end of July, Community Shield, Manchester City took on Liverpool at the King Power Stadium, which I want to add, I went to that game, fully enjoyed it, moving the Community Shield around to different neutral locations. It's making travel fair on fans is something I am a massive fan of. This season's one coming up against Arsenal is going to be at Wembley. Sunday, they've moved the kickoff from 5:30 p.m. to 4 o'clock, a compromise of a whole 90 minutes. To me, Manchester City wanted to arrange, the fans did anyway, a boycott of that. Well, it needs to be fair. Arsenal fans are travelling less than 10 miles to get from their stadium across to Wembley. Manchester City travelling a whole round trip of over 400 miles on a Sunday just blows my mind. Neutral ground, make the travel fair on the fans, and to me, onto a winner. So we went to the King Power Stadium, we had a great day. We lost, but we still had a great day. Liverpool won that game 3-1. Worst preparation we could have had. If you cast your minds back to City's pre-season, we had just 2 pre-season games. We included this Community Shield match as part of our pre-season. It's just a friendly. We lost the game by 3-1. Yeah, it is what it is. 4 out of 10. Moving on to the League Cup. We knocked out Chelsea at home 2-0. We knocked out Liverpool at home after the World Cup 3-2. Set up a quarter-final day away at Southampton. Couldn't have wished for a worse match, really, for us to go travelling down to on a midweek game in January. And the Manchester City players never turned up. They weren't motivated. We lost 2-0, and to me, one of the worst performances of the season. There was no real desire there from the players. We had 2 good results before that, but we didn't manage to win the trophy that we've won a lot of times in the last decade or so, and we ended up going out to Southampton, a team that eventually got relegated and wasn't a great result, let's be honest. So again, I think I'm going to have to score the League Cup 4 out of 10, and the manner that we went out, to me, made it just that little bit more disappointing. But that's where the improvements are in the Manchester City season, and we are having to nitpick because everything else, 10 out of 10, it's perfect. We'll start with the FA Cup. We beat Chelsea at home 4-0 in the 3rd round. We beat Arsenal, who were sitting top of the Premier League at the time, 1-0 at home in the 4th round. Bristol City in the 5th round went down south and won away from home 3-0. We played Burnley in the quarter-finals at home, annihilated them on what was Vincent Kompany's homecoming 6-0. Set up a Wembley date with Sheffield United, dismissed them 3-0, and it set up a date for the first ever Manchester derby in a cup final, in the FA Cup final, the most prestigious domestic cup competition in the world, and Manchester City managed to beat Manchester United by 2-1. It meant throughout the whole of the FA Cup, we conceded just 1 goal, which was a penalty, in the final, scoring 19 goals in 6 games. An outstanding run, not the easiest of runs either, and it solidified İlkay Gündoğan's place as a modern-day Manchester City legend. His 2 goals in the final, one after just 12 seconds, won us the FA Cup and helped us to achieve the treble, and them 2 goals are going to be the last goals that İlkay Gündoğan ever scores for Manchester City, and that makes me emotional to say, but there is no better way for Gundogan to bow out, helping us to win the most prestigious domestic cup competition in the world, lifting the trophy, being the captain of a treble-winning Manchester City team. The last thing he ever did for Manchester City was lift the Champions League. There is no greater honour. He leaves as a modern-day Manchester City legend, and so just wanted to put out there on the record, on the video, Ilkay Gundogan, thank you. 10 out of 10 in the FA Cup for City. So, Premier League, 85 points would have been enough to have won the league this season. We got to 89 points. With a World Cup sandwiched in the middle of that, that is an outstanding effort from Manchester City. Just before we went into the World Cup, we were 5 points behind Arsenal. 14 games in, was on 32 points. We just lost to Brentford at home. We then followed that up with a win against Leeds on Boxing Day away from home. I think it was the Boxing Day fixtures anyway. I think we might have played on the 27th. And then it was the New Year's Eve clash against Everton. We went ahead, one shot on goal from Everton. They managed to come away, scabbed a point, got an equaliser. City made hard work of that, and all of a sudden the Premier League just seemed that little bit further away, and it just got so difficult. It was a bit of a sticky patch through January, losing to United in the way that we did, robbed with that offside goal that was given, then wasn't given. Manchester City, just in the heat of the moment, switched off. We ended up losing that game. We went away to Tottenham Hotspur. We lost that game as well, and we just couldn't get any momentum, any runs together. 2-3 wins in a row here, 2-3 wins in a row there, and then following them with a couple of disappointing results here and there. And City just weren't able to get into their stride, and then we hit one of the pivotal moments that we had, which is the Premier League charges. Just before that, it came on a Monday, the day before that on the Sunday, water is wet. We went away to Spurs, we didn't score, and we lost. We got charged the next day by the Premier League, 115 charges, a massive kick in the teeth, and Manchester City had two choices here, either just to curl up and just wallow in self-pity, or go out there and prove a point. We are the villains. We are the team that nobody likes, and we don't care. That's not going to stop us from achieving our goals. And I'm very happy to say that it was that mentality, that of the latter that I mentioned there, is the attitude that the club, the players, the staff and the fans have. And that, then Premier League charges, it's pivotal. I don't know if Man City go on to win the Premier League without them charges, but then Premier League charges just seem to turn Manchester City into that different animal, that animal that's capable of going 10 plus games in the Premier League, winning every single game. It just kicked us into momentum. Before that, 2 or 3 wins is the best we managed to muster up before dropping points. We followed that up with some more pivotal moments, beating Arsenal twice. We won 14 out of 15 Premier League games, only dropping points in February against Nottingham Forest, which is another game that we should have won. We didn't put to bed and we got punished for that. But we went on a 12-game winning streak in the league, and that is what won us the Premier League. An outstanding effort, and under Pep Guardiola, that seems to be consistent every season, season upon season. There's some kind of outstanding run, normally in the business end of the season, that helps Manchester City to persevere to win the Premier League. We've won the Premier League now. We've done the three-peat, 3 Premier Leagues in a row. That puts us into history. We've won 5 out of the last 6, and as Khaldoon said in his interview for his post-season review, he went on to say that this is a dynasty that Manchester City are creating here, and this, for Manchester City, was an outstanding achievement. Arsenal ran a good race. They had a brilliant February in response to losing to Manchester City. They went on to win every game throughout February and throughout March. They were 2-0 up at Anfield. They dropped points in that game, blowing a 2-0 lead. The rest, as they say, is history. Manchester City beat Arsenal away from home. We beat them at home. That's the other pivotal moment here. A swing of 12 points. You cannot afford to do that in a title race. Manchester City know what it takes to win the Premier League. We know what it takes to get them important results at the important parts of the season, and we got the job done. I do want to say a big thank you to Nottingham Forest for taking points off Arsenal, handing us the Premier League, as we ended up winning the league, with 3 games to spare. We could rotate, rest players so that they were fresh for the FA Cup final, fresh for the Champions League final, which just so happened to be so decisive. And I remember speaking after the game against Brentford, the only team to do the double over Manchester City this season, the only team that we've not managed to beat as well. But Brentford, after that game, I remember speaking, we're losing all our momentum after going on this 12-game winning streak in the Premier League and this big, massive, unbeaten run that we had running from February right through to May. And we were saying to ourselves, is it decisive? And I said, if City go on to win the Cups, no one cares. Man City made the right call. We went on to win them Cups. Nobody cares. Pep Guardiola and Manchester City, they made the right calls. FA Cup, tick. Second trophy in the bag with the Premier League. Another 10 out of 10 performance for City, not just in the FA Cup, but also in the Premier League. So it takes us finally onto our kryptonite, the Champions League. Unbeaten this season in the Champions League. 14 points in the group. We beat Dortmund, Copenhagen and Sevilla all at home. We beat Sevilla away from home and drew away in Denmark and in Germany as well, both 0-0. We scored 15 goals in 6 games, conceding just 2. We have 2 0-0s in there, so 15 goals in 4 games. City went through in first place, Dortmund in second place, Sevilla in third place, dropped into the Europa League, and they go on to win the Europa League. Does set up a date for Manchester City playing Sevilla in Greece in August for the European Super Cup, and Copenhagen finished 4th. Into the last 16, we drew RB Leipzig, another return to Germany. We drew 1-1 in Germany. Should have put that game to bed. We didn't. We get them back to the Etihad, Fortress Etihad. We win 7-0, 8-1 on aggregate. Quarter-final time, City drawn into the much harder side of the draw. Real Madrid played Chelsea and knocked them out. We played Bayern Munich at home first in the first leg, annihilated them, won 3-0 before drawing at the Allianz 1-1, went through 4-1 on aggregate. Prestigious team, Bayern Munich. It's an outstanding win, and once again just showing what Khaldoon had said, that City's home form for the large majority of the season has been outstanding. Our home form in the Champions League has been brilliant. We've won every single game at the Etihad, and the only time we've not beaten a team by more than beating a team by 3 goals or more was when we played Dortmund to beat them by 2 goals to 1. I think we beat Sevilla 3-1, but we scored 3 goals in that game. That every single performance that we've had in the Champions League at the Etihad has been brilliant from Manchester City, and that home form has been absolutely key. It's gotten to a point where it doesn't matter if we're away from home first or at home first. We're making that not that important. The away goal rule goes away, and all of a sudden it's just about results, and it's about when you're away from home making sure you're getting a result, like we did in Germany against Leipzig, like we did in Germany playing Bayern Munich, getting a result, drawing 1-1 in the second leg, like we did in the semi-final when we took on Real Madrid at the Bernabeu as well, drawing 1-1, getting that result, getting them back to the Etihad, and we go on to go and play one of the best performances I've ever seen, not just from City but from any side ever. 4-0. Real Madrid, the current holders, the most prestigious team in the Champions League ever, the most prestigious European team, and Manchester City played them off the park. 4-0, 5-1 on aggregate. Madrid stood absolutely no chance, and that was sweet revenge for last season's last-minute heartbreak at the Bernabeu, where we ended up having the heartbreak, having things snatched away from us last season so late on, to not make it to Paris. Made it so great that we managed to make it this season to Istanbul. We head to Turkey, Champions League final again. 2021, the Champions League final was meant to be in Istanbul at the Ataturk Stadium. It was moved due to COVID regulations to Porto. We lost to Chelsea in the Champions League final 1-0. And it was meant to be for Manchester City. We were meant to be in Istanbul. We were meant to win the Champions League in Istanbul, if you ask me. We were meant to get there in 2021. COVID regulations meant that didn't happen, but we got there in 2023. We right them wrongs, and Manchester City go on to make history now. Our opponents at the Ataturk Stadium, Inter Milan, they knocked out Benfica in the quarterfinals, AC Milan in the semi-finals. FC Porto was their team they faced in the last 16 and knocked them out. That set them up with a date with us. They played well in that final, they defended well, the midfield never stopped running and pressing. It disrupted City's momentum. That first half was hard work for Manchester City. We were pushed all the way, but Manchester City never gave up and showed the quality when it really mattered. And then, with the prestigious treble on the line, 68 minutes in, cometh the hour, cometh the Rodri. Manchester City wanted handball. Rodri, he saw his opportunity and pounced like a starving lion in the Serengeti. Mr. Consistent. What a moment for Manchester City Football Club. Rodri wrote his name into the Manchester City history books, and that moment wrote Manchester City into the European history books as well. I want to give a quick shout out to Edison with his saves in the second half. Without them, we don't go on to lift the big ears. So what a moment for Manchester City. Finally getting the big one, the trophy that we've been after for a long time, the Champions League final. Winning that trophy, winning the Champions League. City's performance in the Champions League this season, 10 out of 10. We completed the treble. We replicated what United achieved in 1999. Their fans hated every minute of it, and I absolutely loved it. What an achievement. It needs to be celebrated more, because we may never see a moment or a season like this ever again. The 3 times consecutive Premier League champions, 5 Premier Leagues out of 6, first time winning the Champions League and winning the most prestigious cup competition in the world as well. Football is a roller coaster. That moment in Istanbul sent us right to the very top. That moment cannot be topped. And that feeling, people will argue that you cannot get near that ever again because it was our first time. And the first time is always the best. But this wonderful club, it faces so many challenges both on and off the field. They're resilient enough to keep going, to never give up. And the whole club, the players, the coaches, the staff, the fans, they deserve the success that we've had this season. We do have more battles to come. The challenge, it's only just started. We've won it. Can we retain it? We've got a European Super Cup to go out to win for the first time. We've got a Club World Cup to go out to win for the first time. We've got a Community Shield to try and win back. And we've got a League Cup to try and get back. We've got a Premier League to try and retain, an FA Cup to try and retain, and a Champions League to try and retain as well. There is the possibility that City, in a 12-month period, could hold every single prize possible in a year. Never been done before by any club ever. I look forward to that challenge next season. Bring it on. We have a battle off the field, 115 charges, roller coaster ride. Bring that on as well. We've got a chance here to clear our name. I want Khaldun to do his interview, to give his thoughts. He's promised us that he will give his thoughts once the process is done. That might be done in the next 12 months. It might not. We don't know when it's going to come. But when it does, we are ready. Because no matter what, we are Manchester City, and we are City till we die.